What is up? I'm back at it like crack addicts. Thanks for tuning in. And I know what you must be thinking. 2 episodes in a week?
Are you crazy?
But I got some time because today we're going to be doing a live best ball draft on DraftKings. I'm just going to do a $3 one, not a $10 or $20 one yet. I'll do those once preseason ends. That's the risk of doing these drafts now, is that you can draft a team and half the players end up getting hurt. But we're going to see how we make out. You can pick a fast draft, which is 30 seconds between picks, or you can do an 8-hour slow draft, which means you have 8 hours to make a pick. For the convenience of this episode, we're going to be doing a fast draft. Now, how this works is that you draft 20 players, and each week you don't have to fill in the lineup. It will pick your best players and automatically put them into your lineups. So all you got to do is draft the players. I do a lot of baseball drafts, best ball, because like many people, I forget to do my lineups daily for baseball. And yesterday, I actually have a fantasy league of baseball, and I forgot to put in 2 pitchers. And they had great games, and I totally forgot. And that's why I like best ball. I don't need to forget. I just draft my players, and let's see how we're doing. And my best ball baseball teams are doing very well, very, very well. I'm in first place in one of them. I'm up. The next guy behind me is 600 points behind. So I'm doing really well in those drafts. I'm very good at, I guess, these drafts for some reason. I don't know what it is, but I seem to do very well. Even like last year in best ball for football, I did very, very well, made it very, very far, but just didn't quite finish out, how I wanted to. But for best ball, you have a quarterback spot, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex position with 12 bench players. One of the things I like to do in best ball is stack, meaning getting players from the same team, a strategy I may use in redraft leagues, but I won't pick too many guys from the same team like I would in best ball. Here in Connecticut, all we have is best ball. We don't have underdogs. So maybe if you're in a state that allows you to play underdog, try that. But today we will be using DraftKings. Now, before we begin, I'm sure you all know or have heard about Donald Trump. I hope he is recovering. As much as you may hate someone, I just think what happened is totally unacceptable. If you don't like him, don't vote for him. I got the news on my phone. I saw someone put something up. I thought it was a joke. You get all that stuff and you take it with a grain of salt, but it turned out to be very real. I am a Trump guy, but I do not hate on others who don't believe in his vision. I respect other people's opinions like I do with people and their religious beliefs. Everyone has their own opinion, but we shouldn't be killing each other over it. And in my opinion, you really want Sleepy Joe to be in office for another 4 years? You want him running this country? He can barely walk off a stage. But we're not here to discuss that. I just hope Trump is okay. There is no need for violence. There should just be peace and love. We should all stick together. But all right, let's do some best ball. I'm going to take a quick break and I will be right back. Okay, guys, I'm back and I have fantastic news. I have the number 1 pick in my best ball draft. Now, there's many ways I can go here. Obviously, I have the number 1 pick, so you can pretty much have anybody. Christian McCaffrey, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill. Those are the 3 guys that I'm kind of looking at. And with best ball, you want to try to stack your team. So with CeeDee Lamb, obviously, you can get Dak Prescott and Jake Ferguson way later in the draft. Christian McCaffrey. I'm probably going to stay away from drafting Christian McCaffrey in this spot. It's going to be CeeDee Lamb or Tyreek Hill. Now, this is a tough one because, like I said before, you have 30 seconds to draft, so you have to be on top of it. And also, you have to have guys queued up. You don't want to accidentally have the computer pick somebody for you. So if you're up in 4 picks, make sure you have 5 or 6 guys in the queue so that if you do miss the 30-second mark, that you at least get a guy that you had queued up that you like. But again, I'm going to probably draft CeeDee Lamb first pick so that maybe later on I can stack him with Jake Ferguson, Rico Dowdle, Dak Prescott, those type of guys. Tyreek Hill, you can do the same thing. You can do Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Tua Tagovailoa. You could do stuff like that. But right now, I'm going to be taking CeeDee Lamb first pick. Boom, let's get it cracking. So that's what we do. And again, you have to fill 3 wide receiver spots. And the second guy goes and takes Christian McCaffrey, which is a good pick. I'm not saying that do not take him, but I'm leaning more toward the wide receivers. I want to fill out that spot, maybe in the later rounds, take a couple of running backs that maybe have some good weeks. They're not number one running backs, but potentially maybe down the line, later in the season, they can do great. Obviously, I'm going to take some running backs, but I want CeeDee Lamb. I think this Dallas offense is going to be very pass heavy. So those are the guys that I'm going to try to target in this draft. Tyreek Hill goes third. Pretty much saw that one coming. The fourth pick just auto drafted. And you can auto draft if you would like to. The problem with that is you have to at least make one selection. So if this guy came in first round, picked his player, then he can just auto draft and it'll count. But if you auto draft your whole squad, I don't think you get credit for it. I read that somewhere, and we're doing this on DraftKings, right in the lobby. Just go to Best Ball, and I love Best Ball. I did a couple of these last year. It was my first year that I actually did it. I wasn't sure if they had Best Ball on DraftKings. I know they have it like on Underdog, and we don't get Underdog here in Connecticut, so I couldn't do those drafts. So I saw last year that you can do Best Ball on DraftKings. So I was ecstatic about it that we could actually do this. And CeeDee Lamb Justin Jefferson, like I told you before in last week's episode, he is slipping, and he just got taken with the 8th overall pick. So again, he was going top 3. And now, like I said, with quarterback play and stuff like that, and other guys too, I think Amon-Ra is jumping ahead of Justin Jefferson. So there's a lot to think about there. And we are rolling here. Everyone is on the clock, or everyone is doing really good. There's different ways you could do this too. Like if it comes back to me, I don't know what I'm going to do. I obviously see who's there, but we have so far for the first round, we have CeeDee Lamb, Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Bijan Robinson, Breece Hall, Justin Jefferson, Puka Nacua, Garrett Wilson, A.J. Brown, and we're still waiting. He picked Saquon Barkley, and he went with Jonathan Taylor. So he went 2 running backs right off the bat, and that's cool. I totally get that. But for me, I personally, the ones that the best balls that I did last year, every single one of them where I made it to round 5 the last week, I had stacked wide receivers with really nobody at running back. I had a few good running backs, nothing crazy. I think Devon Achane, who wasn't being drafted too early. Now he's going second round. But I had guys like that, and it paid off huge for me. But I had guys that were really good at wide receiver, and I paired them with the late round quarterbacks, and that was a really good strategy. I don't know if it's going to work with this draft. I've never had the number 1 pick in the best ball. Last year I was stuck with the 8th pick and the 9th pick, so I was always getting kind of the same player, or I would have to reach for a player just to be different, and I didn't like that. I wish I had more of a balance between picks when I did my drafts. But so far, second round after Taylor went Gibbs, Drake London, Marvin Harrison, Devon Achane, Devontae Adams, Nico Collins, Brandon Ayuk. And again, these picks are really fast, 30 seconds. You could do an 8-hour one, and those will take time. You can take time with your picks, and those lead all the way up to the season. So, or the draft will stop, once it gets hot and heavy when the season starts approaching. Those 8-hour picks won't become 8-hour picks. People will be on top of it. But after Nico Collins, Brandon Ayuk, Chris Olave, we're 3 picks away now. The guy that's picking Tyreek Hill, I'd like to see what he's thinking here. But again, you want to have players queued up too. You don't want to wait. You don't want to be crazy. One thing I also see here too is Kyren Williams is really falling. And this guy went with Derrick Henry, who was a guy I just put in the queue. So there you go. But Kyren Williams, you got Travis Kelce here. I got 2 picks here. I could really be crazy here if I want to. I can draft like Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, and get that stack. But I'm going to lean probably, I would really like another wide receiver, but I feel like these ones are a little too iffy. So I'm going to go with Kyren Williams. Let's see. Kyren Williams, if it'll let me. Kyren Williams is going to get selected. And I'm going to go over to tight end here. We got Travis Kelce, Sam Laporta. I would really like to nail one of these tight ends. But at the same time, I'm looking at Jake Ferguson down the line. So maybe drafting a wide receiver is maybe the best bet here. I could go another running back. I could get like a Josh Jacobs. But for right now, what we're going to do is we're going to take let's see, what can we do here? We can do Jalen Waddle, which is probably what I'm going to do, drafting him way ahead of ADP here. He's projected to go 19th overall in best ball, and I got him with the 24th pick or 25th pick. I'm sorry. So again, you're looking for value as well. Now again with this wide receiver core, I have CeeDee Lamb and Jalen Waddle. So if Dak Prescott, if I can't get him, maybe I can get Tua down the line, stack those guys. And I'm sure this Tyreek Hill guy probably is a little mad. He's still looking at his he's still waiting. He's got 10 seconds left to make a pick. So he probably was maybe thinking Jalen Waddle. Get Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and then later on in the draft, get Tua Tagovailoa. But I kind of ruined that for him. Sorry about that. Oh, he goes with Deebo Samuel, which is a good pick. I don't mind that at all. So he's got 2 wide receivers and a running back. The next guy, though, is, like I said, like I told you before, he is stacking the wide receivers. He's got Jamar Chase, Chris Olave, and Mike Evans. So very good start. He's completely ignoring these running backs. I at least like to get at least one running back. I know Kieran Williams now has Blake Corum there, but I'm still in on Kieran Williams, especially at this spot all the way at the end of round 2. So in redraft leagues, he's probably going right in the beginning of the second round. And again, his ADP is around 16, 17 for best ball. And I got him with the 24th pick. And then again, Jalen Waddle, the 25th pick, who is ranked number 19. So you want guys, if people are going to pass on guys and they fall 6, 7, 8 spots, you want to take those guys. Those are really, really, really good value. So I definitely would like that a lot. But again, you want to try to stack in this league. I don't see anybody really stacking here. There's nobody really that's going too crazy with the stacks. We see Tank Dell go in the 3rd round here. And, the guy that drafted Breece Hall and Devon Achane takes Dell, but that's now his number 1 receiver. And I don't really like that strategy. Wide receivers are going to go really, really fast. Let's see. We got 1, 2. Let me count here, and then I'll get back to you on that one. So with the first, 34 picks, 25 wide receivers went off the board. So there you go. You want to definitely nail down the wide receiver position. Let's see. So round 3, or I'm sorry, let's go back. So at the end of round 2, we had Derrick Henry go, and then Cooper Kupp, and then I took Kieran Williams, Jalen Waddle, and then Devontae Smith went, Deebo Samuel, Mike Evans. Then we got Josh Allen, then DK Metcalf, Malik Neighbors, Tank Dell, all wide receivers. Now you start to see some of these tight ends go, which is really good too. Sam Laporta and Travis Kelce at the end of the 3rd round. Travis Kelce, who knows what's going to happen with him this year. I do like that pick a lot, especially at the end of the 3rd round. Now you're going to here we go. DJ Moore, George Pickens. So 2 more wide receivers go off the board. Jalen Hurts, Josh Jacobs, Travis Etienne. Now you're going to start to see maybe some of those running backs, and there's going to be really good value here at the running back position. Still got Isaiah Pacheco, wide receivers. Stephon Diggs has fallen a lot. Tight end, you got Trey McBride still, Dalton Kincaid, Mark Andrews. So there's still a lot of value here left. Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson. Now I could get crazy, and if it does fall to me, I could take like a Stroud Diggs, because you never know, that could be huge. But we're starting to see a lot of the running backs go here now, which I might fade. I got Kieran Williams. He's my number 1. Maybe later in the draft I can get a couple more, but right now I'm trying to get a really good tight end here. We got 4 picks left until we're up, but we still got McBride, Kincaid, Andrews, and even Kyle Pitts. I would even throw Kyle Pitts in there. So there's 4 good tight ends. Still got a lot of good quarterbacks. But again, I'm looking more for a Dak Prescott here. I'm hoping that he falls. So I'm glad that all these players are being taken. And Pacheco goes, we're going to start to see a lot of running backs, like I said before. They're going to come off the board. So running back is probably a position that I'm going to fade here and capitalize on that with getting wide receivers and maybe a good tight end. Dalton Kincaid goes next. Here we go. So there we go. You're going to start to see maybe some tight ends. The guy that has 3 wide receivers with his first 3 picks is up. I'm very curious to see what he's going to do here. And he goes with another wide receiver, Stephon Diggs. So that's incredible. Very, very, very awesome strategy. I like that a lot. You want to maximize that wide receiver position. You got to fill 3 of those spots, and you have a flex. So very good. Amari Cooper goes next, and we are up in 2 picks here. So let's take a look at the wide receivers. We got Christian Kirk, T. Higgins, Hollywood Brown, Terry McLaurin, Keenan Allen. Now, Keenan Allen is a really good pick probably here too as well. But I got 2 picks left. Let's see what we got here. Mark Andrews went off the board. So what I'm going to try to do man, this is tough because I really would like to grab Trey McBride here, but I just don't know if I want to do that. We got James Cook. We got a couple other guys here. James Cook is probably maybe a guy that I would like to get. So why don't we do this? We can draft James Cook. Let's take James Cook, and then we're going to come back and we're going to grab, let's see. Let's take a wide receiver. Let's grab Keenan Allen. I'm going to take Keenan Allen here. So starting off, we went wide receiver, running back, wide receiver, running back, wide receiver. Now you're going to start to see probably some quarterbacks and the tight ends come off the board because, again, with these drafts, I'm looking at the board now and it is filled with yellow, meaning that a lot of wide receivers have won off the board. But there are a lot of good late round wide receivers that I would like to tackle. But we got 2 running backs. I usually don't do that, but James Cook fell at a very good value. I got him at the end of the 4th round. He was going around pick 45, so 3 spots of value. I'll take that. And Keenan Allen, I feel that is, he's going to be peppered with targets with Caleb Williams. I like DJ Moore, but and I got Keenan Allen a round and a half pretty much later. So I'm going to take that. I want guys that are going to have a lot of targets opportunities. And I feel like I got 3 really good wide receivers and I got 2 good running backs. I like Kyren Williams a lot. Let's see how it goes with him. But now we're starting to see tight ends come off the board and quarterbacks. So after Keenan Allen, we had CJ Stroud, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. Then we had Christian Kirk, and then we had George Kittle and Trey McBride. So quarterbacks and tight ends are starting to go now because if you look at the board, the wide receiver position is completely decimated here. Right now, the top guy is T. Higgins, and then after that, a huge drop-off all the way to Hollywood Brown, Terry McLaurin. Who else is up here? Jaden Reed, Calvin Ridley. So that's why I think a lot of guys, they pepper the wide receiver position because now it's starting to look ugly. And running backs are still a couple of good ones. Alvin Kamara, not really a fan of. Ken Walker, Aaron Jones, David Montgomery. So I think a lot of people are going to maybe try to snag some running backs here. After Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes, Terry McLaurin went, T. Higgins, and then you had Joe Mixon go. And Team 11 with a ballsy move going with Rashee Rice. Insert car crash. Now we're about to wrap up round 5. And this guy has Saquon, Jonathan Taylor, DJ Moore, George Pickens. Pretty good strategy there. And he went with Hollywood Brown, another wide receiver, and he's got another pick here. So maybe he would like to get a quarterback here or a tight end. That's probably what I would do. But there are still good players, wide receiver, running backs. You still got some good tight ends. You got Kyle Pitts, Evan Ingram, Jake Ferguson. Still a lot of good talent up there. Wide receivers though, looking a little shady for sure. One of the guys that I would like to target here is Deontay Johnson, but I think with my next 2 picks, I'm going to try something a little crazy. And Jaden Reed goes for the Team 12. So now he has Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, and now he's starting to hammer out his wide receivers. He's got 2 of the best running backs, and then he followed up with 4 straight wide receivers. But if you look at it, his 4 wide receivers are a little iffy. Jaden Reed, obviously I mentioned last week that I'm a little afraid to draft those guys. There's a lot of weapons on that team. You don't really know who's going to be the number 1 guy on that team for wide receivers. Then he went with Hollywood Brown, another team I had on my list where he's with Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce, and so 2 good wide receivers. But again, those are 2 that I would probably stay away from based on the consistency. I'm looking for consistent players. Wow, team, let's see, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Team 8 going with Keon Coleman. I really think he could have waited for that pick. That was a little bit of a reach there, especially with he doesn't have a tight end. Got a lot of good tight ends up there. Kyle Pitts, I probably would have taken a shot there. Ladd McConkey going next. What the hell are people doing? Now, these are guys that failed to grab wide receivers. So they drafted tight ends and running backs, and they got, let's see, this guy had Tank Dell. So now he's coming back with Keon Coleman, and that's what you're left with. And that's why I say wide receivers are very, very important to snag here. Anthony Richardson finally goes. I've been waiting to see him go, and he went with this guy, Team 12, drafted Michael Pittman in round 3. So he paired him up with Anthony Richardson, which is what you want to try to do. And now maybe later in the draft, he can get some of those other Colt wide receivers that'll fall to him. And after Keon Coleman went Ken Walker, Loud McConkey, like I mentioned, Rome Odunze now comes off the board, and he's paired with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Brandon Ayuk, which is a pretty good start. This guy, Team 5, also went with 2 straight tight ends, which I think is a pretty good strategy. But at the same time, I don't know if I would do that right off the bat here. After Odunze went Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley. Now I'm up next. David Montgomery goes right before me. That's not what I was looking for anyways. So what I'm going to do here is, because I have CeeDee Lamb, I'm going to take Dak Prescott here, pair him up, and I'm also going to take my tight end, Jake Ferguson. Because after this, there's not a lot of tight ends after this. A lot of tight ends went. There is a shot I could get Evan Ingram, but again, I want that stack here with this Dallas Cowboy team. So I'm going to go ahead and take Jake Ferguson. So now I have CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, Jake Ferguson. I have the Cowboys, pretty much their offense, besides their running back. I know they have Brandon Cooks. They don't really have a third wide receiver. I mean, they're trying to sign some guys, or maybe somebody will break out. I like this Turpin kid. He's really fast. I like him a lot. But I think Dallas is going to throw the ball a lot this year. That's how I feel it's going to be with the Bengals as well. The Bengals, I think, are going to throw the ball a lot. And Dallas is one of those teams I have right there with them. So I think this draft is turning out really well for me. And now I can hammer out running backs, wide receivers. And I think with the strategy that I just did, you're now starting. I drafted Dak Prescott and Jake Ferguson, and now you're starting to see tight ends and quarterbacks come off the board. We have Brock Purdy, Jordan Love, and then you see 3 straight running backs, Zamir White, Ramondre Stevenson, Aaron Jones, Deontay Johnson. Damn, there he goes. I was going to take Deontay Johnson there, but at the same time, I would like my stack of players, and I chose to do the stack over rather than grabbing Deontay Johnson, which if this was a redraft league, home league, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done Dak Prescott, maybe Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, but I don't know if I would have taken Jake Ferguson. I might have taken a running back way later, or I'm sorry, a tight end a little later or before. Honestly, I probably would have taken McBride when I had the chance, but I did not do that. And I'm gonna try to capitalize more on the wide receiver and running back position now. And for running backs, we have guys like James Conner, DeAndre Swift is still there, Raheem Mostert, Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, Jonathan Brooks, Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler is a guy I might try to get here, honestly. I don't know if he's going to fall to me. I'm 10 picks away. But Eckler is a guy that I would really kind of like to grab here. So after Aaron Jones went Jordan Love, Deontay Johnson, Kyler Murray, Christian Watson, Zach Moss, David Njoku, Raheem Mostert, Najee Harris, Xavier Worthy. So now we're starting to get in round 8. And again, I really don't see anybody stacking. I don't see anybody kind of with that strategy like I have, except for this Team 10 where he drafted Michael Pittman and Anthony Richardson. I'm looking, and I really don't see anybody doing that strategy. So after Worthy, we have Brock Bowers, James Conner, Jaden Daniels goes as well. Jaden Daniels, let's see. I think this guy drafted. Oh, nope, he did not. I thought he drafted. Terry McLaurin, but he did not. It was the guy before him that drafted McLaurin. But Jaden Daniels is going to use his legs, which is very helpful here. He doesn't have, maybe that's what's going to do good for Jaden Daniels is his legs. So this guy doesn't really need to pair him with anybody. DeAndre Swift goes. I was looking to maybe capitalize on Swift and Eckler. If they did fall to me, I would have those 2 guys and then really pay attention to the wide receiver position. But DeAndre Swift did go, which is making me a little nervous now for these running backs. We're starting to get into that. Jonathan Brooks, Tony Pollard, Austin Eckler, Tyjae Spears. Singletary is another guy that I'm looking at as well. I think he's going to carry a lot of the workload for the Giants running backs. And Jordan Addison, Brian Thomas is still there. I'm not really a fan of any of those guys. Joe Burrow. How about Joe Burrow still being here in round 8? And you would think that Maybe these guys with Jamar Chase, even Jamar, he took a running back, and I thought maybe Joe Burrow would have been the guy there. I don't know why these guys aren't doing that, but we're up in 2 picks here. Jaylen Warren goes, and now Jordan Addison goes. So we're going to take a look at running backs. I like this Eckler guy. He's pretty good. You ever heard of him? And we might go. I want to draft Joe Burrow here. I really would like to. But we're going to take Eckler. I'm going to let this clock wind down so we can maybe take a look at some other players before we do that. So yeah, we're going to take Eckler. I like Eckler. Maybe he can do something this year on a new team. I really would like to take Joe Burrow here. He is falling. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I know I have Dak Prescott, but the value with him here, but I need another wide receiver. So maybe wide receiver is probably the way to go. There's really nobody that I like here, a wide receiver. You can get some wide receivers later on. I'm going to pull the trigger. I'm going to take Joe Burrow here. I'm taking Burrow. Hopefully I can ruin that guy's day, because the guy that took Jamar Chase was probably hoping, okay, these 3 guys in front of me have quarterbacks, but I'm trying to ruin people's days here. And that's what you got to do as well. And then the next guy took Jared Goff. So now this guy's really screwed on his quarterback. This guy that took Jamar Chase and the guy that took, there goes Tony Pollard. That's another guy I was looking at. But again, I feel that the wide receiver position is so deep that later on in the draft, I can probably potentially get those. I think players fell to me. James Cook, Kyren Williams. I was not going to take Kyren Williams. I did not expect him to fall all the way to the end of round 2. Now, people have their concerns about him, with Blake Corum coming in. But I don't think that's going to be I don't think that's going to be a problem. And you have to go with how the draft is going. You can't go in and be like, oh, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. I'm taking guys at value. And then later on in these rounds, I'm going to take my shots. And now I have 2 really good quarterbacks. And I got Burrow. He was going, I think his projection was 78. And I got him, let's see, 90. I got him 97th. So I know I have Dak Prescott, but barring any injuries, that's the thing with best ball. You get an injury, there's no waiver wire. You can't make any trades. You want to have as many players as you can. And what I like to do is draft at least 3 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends, and then fill out the running back and wide receiver however I like. Usually I like to draft more wide receivers, so I would try to take like 8, and then I would try to get 6 running backs total. Or it can go the other way. It can go 8 running backs, 6 wide receivers, just depending on who's there. But I think for sure now we have to hammer out some wide receivers, because we haven't drafted a wide receiver in a while. And a lot of these wide receivers are starting to go. We had Brian Thomas, Jameson Williams, Romeo Doubs, and those guys I was looking at as well. I was looking at Jameson Williams. I was looking at Romeo Doubs. But again, I want guys that may be that could potentially be number 1. And then we see Jackson Smith and Njigba go. I don't mind that pick at all. He could have a good season. Last year, I was a little down on him. Ooh, Devin Singletary, great pick there. That's a guy I was looking at when I picked Burrow. I wanted Singletary, but I didn't want to get too crazy with the running backs, because, again, maybe we can find one later in we got Jerome Ford. Or we could go and take Blake Corum, just in case anything does happen to Kyren Williams, or he has the better week, and at least we have that player. But if you look more toward down the running back list, you got guys like Chase Brown, Zach Charbonnet, Rico Dowdle, Marshawn Lloyd. Not really a whole lot. Trey Benson is still there. I could take a Brian Robinson Jr. just in case if he has a better week than Eckler. That's what you want to do in these best ball leagues. Or at least that's what I like to do. Maybe other people have their own strategies, obviously. So after Jackson Smith, we see Devin Singletary, Josh Palmer, Dallas Goedert, Courtland Sutton, Tua Tagovailoa, Curtis Samuel, Trey Benson. Now, Tua I could have waited for as well. I could have not drafted Dak, and because I have Waddle, I could have taken Tagovailoa. But my thing with that is the Dolphins have 2 really good running backs. So, I lean more toward Dak Prescott. I think he's going to have way more opportunities than Tua. Rico Dowdle went, and that's okay. I don't want to have too many Dallas Cowboys, and I would have liked Rico Dowdle here to solidify that, but doesn't matter. I'm not really too concerned about that. Then after Dowdle, we see Dalton Schultz, Rashid Shaheed. Now, another thing I might do here with my pick coming up is draft another tight end. We got Hawkinson, we got Freiermuth, we got Cole Kmet. And then after that, really not a lot. So you got to take that into consideration. If anything were to happen to Jake Ferguson and I don't have another tight end, you're kind of screwed there at that position, which is okay, but you don't want that, especially if he gets hurt week 1, he's out for the season. You definitely don't want that. Rashid Shaheed goes after Dalton Schultz. Then we had Blake Corum. There goes Blake Corum. That's a guy that I was trying to maybe target here to fill in just in case anything does happen to Kieran Williams and Brian Robinson goes. So now you're starting to see the backups go. Good job by this guy. He drafted, let's see, he's got Brian Thomas, he's got Christian Kirk, and then he just drafted Trevor Lawrence. So there you go. Now you're starting to see some stacks come into play. But we are up next. We got Caleb Williams who went, let's see, we have some work to do here. Running back wise, we have Jerome Ford, Ezekiel Elliott. I don't really want any running backs right now. I would like to take some of those guys, but I think I have enough. I could draft Brandon Cooks. Not trying to do that as well. What I'm going to do here is probably draft Freiermuth because I think after this, you're looking at a huge drop-off. And I'm forced to take Freiermuth here just to solidify that position. You don't want to go in and, I'd like to have, a lot of tight ends. Not a lot of tight ends, but I like to have depth. And that's what you want. And we are up next. There's some running backs here, some wide receivers. I see Tyler Lockett. I might pull the trigger on him. I think I'm gonna do it. Tyler Lockett. So with our back-to-back picks, we got Pat Freiermuth and Tyler Lockett. Now we still have a ton of rounds left. Again, I mentioned before there are 20 rounds, so we are in round 11 right now. So we still got a lot of work to do. Jerome Ford goes next, and that kind of sucks because I really was looking at him, but I got 3 good running backs right now, and you only need to fill 2 of those. Again, you have the flex, so obviously a running back could make it in there, but anybody can make it in there. Your tight end, your wide receiver, so it doesn't matter. It really does not matter that flex position. You only need to fill 2 running back spots. The wide receiver position, you need to fill 3. So I'm looking at more of the wide receivers now, and especially toward the back end of the best ball drafts, it's much easier to draft wide receivers than a backup tight end or a backup quarterback or a backup running back. You have multiple options for wide receiver. And there are a lot of players here in the wide receiver position that are still there. You got Brandon Cooks, Jacoby Myers, Mike Williams, who's on the Jets now. He could be a huge deep threat for Aaron Rodgers. Jerry Jeudy, not really on him. You got Adonai Mitchell. Dontavian Wicks is still there. Jahan Dotson, Gabe Davis, Adam Thielen, Josh Downs, Quentin Johnson, if you want to go down that route. Jalen Polk. You still got a lot of guys. Ricky Pearsall. Scrolling down, maybe Luke McCaffrey does something on the Redskins the Commanders this year. And Jalen McMillan, still got a lot of guys in this wide receiver position. And if we can take a look at running back, really not a lot left. You got Chase Brown, Zach Charbonnet, who I just mentioned, he just went. Got Marshawn Lloyd. Got a couple of running backs, nothing too crazy. A guy that I would like to maybe potentially grab is Algier. I don't want to get too crazy and draft them. And also, too, with my next pick when it comes about, I might take another tight end just to have that locked down because there are still a lot of guys. Let's see. There is one team that doesn't even have a tight end drafted. Let's see. Oh, he might have just taken a tight end. No. He has not. Oh, did he? Let's see here. No, we have one guy that still has not drafted a tight end. We are in round 11. And if you look at the tight end position, he's really looking at Cole Kmet. You got Taysom Hill, Luke Musgrave, Cade Otton, Hunter Henry, Ben Sinnott, who I've heard pretty good things about. You got Jonnu Smith now in Miami, so maybe he's looking at one of those guys. And tight end just went off the board. Cole Kmet, I don't think it was this guy that drafted him. It was not. So he might be punting that position. So after Tyler Lockett went, we had Khalil Shakir, Jerome Ford, Gus Edwards, Mike Williams, Justin Herbert, Zach Charbonnet, Brandon Cooks, Chase Brown, TJ Hawkinson. Good luck with that. This is his only, that's the guy he took. That's the guy that he took. Okay. So he punted on tight end. And then when he did select the tight end, he's got TJ Hawkinson. So I don't know how that's going to work out. But Dontavian Wicks, Cole Kmet, follow him, Marshawn Lloyd. Then we got 3 straight quarterbacks: Matt Stafford, Kirk Cousins, and Baker Mayfield. Again, quarterbacks now probably looking at the pick, not a lot left. Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, Geno Smith. It's pretty much all. You got Will Levis, Derek Carr, Bryce Young, Daniel Jones, Russell Wilson. Now, Russell Wilson is a guy I might maybe later try to grab. But right now I'm set. I got 2 really good quarterbacks. Not worried about that at all. But I would like to draft a third just in case. And again, when you make it into the playoffs for these leagues, and say the Bengals and the Cowboys are 15-1, they're not going to be playing their starters in Week 18. So that's the opportunity to grab where you have your third quarterback, like a Russell Wilson, a Geno Smith, maybe guys that are going to be playing in Week 18. I would like to maybe even draft Aaron Rodgers here coming up if he falls to me. But we have 6 picks away. We have Ezekiel Elliott go after the 3 quarterbacks. We had Gabe Davis, Ty Chandler, and Ezekiel Elliott. Again, you might want to do better with the running backs. You could, like this guy, Team 12, he went straight Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, then didn't draft the running back till Marshawn Lloyd. Oh, I'm sorry, he's got Zach Moss as well. But those are way later. We're talking about rounds 11 and 12, or 10 and 12, excuse me. And after Zeke, we see Chuba Hubbard, which is a good pick. I like that pick a lot, especially getting him here in round 12. The Panthers do a really good job running the football. And this guy, he punted on running backs for the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He didn't draft the running back till round 8, which he got DeAndre Swift. Then he's coming back with pretty much handcuffs. Blake Corum, Chuba Hubbard. I think Chuba Hubbard will start, but Jonathan Brooks is going to be involved as well. Then we see Miller go for the Saints, who has potential to help out Alvin Kamara. We are 2 picks away. I should be paying attention. So we are up, and we have the potential to draft Aaron Rodgers here. Yeah, this is a tough call here because after quarterbacks, there's really not a lot left. But I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait on Aaron Rodgers. I'm not going to take him. I do see Nick Chubb here. I might take a shot at Nick Chubb. I'm going to take Nick Chubb here. It told me that player has already been drafted. Huh. Okay. So who did I draft? Okay, it was Nick Chubb. That scared me a little. Now I want to take a wide receiver here. We got Jerry Jeudy, Donnie Mitchell, Jahan Dotson. We have a couple of guys here. I might shoot my shot here. I would like to maybe take Jalen Polk. I like Jalen Polk a lot. But there is potential that I can get him way later. So what we're going to do here is probably, you know what? I'm going to take Polk just in case. I don't want to wait a whole 24 picks. And when you get to these rounds here, where are we now? I think round 14, round 13. So the potential for him to come back is not too good. And the guy after me picked Justin Fields. Now, he has Caleb Williams and Jared Goff, and he went with Justin Fields. And now we're starting to see teams draft 3 quarterbacks. But I don't know if I would have went with Justin Fields. You have Aaron Rodgers still here, Geno Smith, Derek Carr, Russell Wilson, obviously, who's probably going to be the starter. I don't know if I would have taken Fields there. So that's a little bit of an iffy pick there. And the reason why I kind of shied away from Aaron Rodgers is because we know Dak Prescott and Joe Burrow are going to be the guys, obviously, for my team. And that's who I'm sticking with. And if you look down the line, you have guys like Drake May, who maybe I draft because I just took Jalen Polk. So maybe they have a really good week. Maybe Jalen Polk catches 3 touchdowns, has 10 catches for 180 yards, and I want that stack, So, and we got guys like J.J. McCarthy, Russell Wilson. There are guys way later that we can probably draft. So that's why, and I wanted to fill at least 1 wide receiver spot. I needed a wide receiver. We have 2 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 5 wide receivers, and 2 tight ends. So we're looking at maybe 1 more tight end, 1 more quarterback, and then the rest are going to be wide receivers and running backs. And the tight end that I would really like to grab here, there's a couple. Now you got Hunter Henry, okay. Cade Otton, okay. But the guy that I'm looking at is this Ben Sinnott kid. He's pretty good. Commanders have him. I really like him. So maybe with the next pick, I maybe reach for the stars here and draft that guy and get my third tight end. Now, tight ends are starting to come off the board, though. We're starting to see a lot more tight ends come off. We just saw Cade Otton. We just saw Taysom Hill. So after Polk, we see Justin Fields, Deshaun Watson, Donnie Mitchell, Taysom Hill, Jerry Jeudy, Josh Downs, Cade Otton, Darnell Mooney, Jahan Dotson, who I was looking at, Xavier Legette, and Geno Smith. Now, this guy, he's got. So if you want to wait on quarterbacks, in round 10, he got Tua Tagovailoa, and in round 14, he came back with Geno Smith. So if you don't want to grab one of these really good quarterbacks like Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts and all that, then go for it. And if you look in this best ball draft, we see Josh Allen taken in the 3rd round, and then you don't see another quarterback taken for another 2 rounds. So again, wide receiver, running back, wide receiver especially. Like I said, we saw 24 wide receivers or something like that go within the first 36 picks. So that should tell you that wide receivers go very, very quickly. Speaking of wide receivers, Ricky Pearsall, I really was looking. I literally just queued him up, and he got taken, and that sucks. I really like that player. He was a guy I was really targeting. But again, here we have Ben Sinnott. We're 4 picks away. I have him queued up as the first guy I would like to take. I do have some running backs and wide receivers queued up as well. Tyler Algier is a guy that I would maybe like to potentially grab here. We see Derek Carr go off the board. Who's left for quarterback? Aaron Rodgers is still there. Nobody's on this guy this year. Maybe take the risk here. Maybe go after an Aaron Rodgers here. This is a tough call. We're going to do it. We're going to take Aaron Rodgers here. And now I'm going to bang out, let's see. Not really anybody in the running back department that I really like. Wide receivers, again, there's a lot of them. So at this stage, you can probably skip on that. But we're going to go with Ben Sinnott here. I'm going to take the tight end, Ben Sinnott. Let's get him on the team. So now we have our 3 quarterbacks and our 3 tight ends. So now it is literally wide receivers and running backs. We're looking at potentially maybe 2 more running backs and 4 more wide receivers, which is going to be hard to do, especially at this stage of the game. We're now here in round, 15, 16? Round 15. So we are, and there's no kickers and there's no defenses. So that, which I love. I love that there's no kickers, at least. I hate kickers in my league. I've been trying to get rid of them for years, and it's not working. So after Ben Sinnott, we see Wan'Dale Robinson and Tyler Algier. Tyler Algier is a great, great handcuff, especially here in round 15. If anything happens to Bijan, Tyler Algier is going to be the guy. And this guy, again, he's the one that is said, oh, nope, this is another guy. This is the guy that took 4 straight wide receivers. Then after that, he took Lamar Jackson and Kyle Pitts, and then he went straight running back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight running backs, and then came back 3 rounds later and drafted Algier. So he's got good backup running backs, which is okay. Maybe maybe 2 of those guys each week have a good game. You never know, and it switches. And that's a good strategy as well. I was really hoping Ricky Pearsall fell to me there. I was really, really hoping that I can get some of him. I should have maybe taken him over Jalen Polk. But I was, hoping that maybe he would fall to me, but obviously he didn't. So after Ben Sinnott, we see Wan'Dale Robinson, Tyler Algier, Elijah Mitchell, Quentin Johnston, Khalil Vadai, the running back for the Chargers, I think his name is. I'm not really too sure about that. And we got Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins on that team, so who the hell knows what's going to happen with them. After him goes Demario Douglas. See, now we're starting to get into, who the hell are these players, People are going to go with their gut instincts on these picks. They're going to take their guys or whoever is best available. And there's really not a lot. Best available right now is J.K. Dobbins. So not really a fan of that. But this guy right here, he's looking to draft a tight end, and this guy is stuck on his pick. So now he's got Cole Kmet. He's okay. So he just went 2 quarterbacks back-to-back in the later rounds. He got Geno Smith, and he got Russell Wilson. And the good thing about that is that he also has George Pickens. So he just stacked those two guys, which is really awesome. If they have a good week, those are great points. I could have tried to grab Geno Smith and paired him with Tyler Lockett. I have Lockett. I could have drafted Geno Smith, but they traded for what's his name, Sam Howell. So who knows how that quarterback competition is going to work? Maybe Geno Smith doesn't even start the year. I mean, he probably will, but Sam Howell is really good. He played for the Commanders last year, and he was sacked a ton of times. But he had weeks where he did really good. I had taken him in one of my leagues because I lost 4 quarterbacks. So Sam Howell was my guy for many weeks there. But after Russell Wilson, we have Noah Fant, J.K. Dobbins, Daniel Jones, Khalil Herbert. Again, now we're starting to get into the nitty gritty here. We're in round 16. I got to start queuing up some guys here because, another pick that I really like here is this Jaleel McLaughlin guy. I think he's going to do pretty good for the Broncos. Javonte Williams, I was really high on a few years ago. Last year wasn't too good, and you saw McLaughlin catch a lot of passes, which is what you want here. You want a running back that can catch a lot of passes here in best ball. I think it's 1 point PPR for this, which is why wide receivers are so important. You're getting a lot of points with your wide receivers, especially 1 point. But yeah, we got to start queuing up some guys here because I'm sure a lot of these guys are going to start to go because they have the same thought. We all have the same thought process. But running backs and wide receivers are where I'm looking at. Tyrone Tracy from the Giants is somebody that I would like to maybe potentially get as well. And then after that, really nobody left for running backs. Maybe doubling up here on running backs is maybe the way to go here. I would like to snag Jalen McMillan, who I really like as well, but I'm not really too keen on that, especially with a lot of other wide receivers that I can take after him. But let's see what we got here. All right, so we are 1 pick away. I'm hoping this guy doesn't take my running back. He looks like he's auto-drafting at this point, and he did. He took A.J. Dillon. So we are going to take Jaleel McLaughlin. I'm going to wait, let the clock run down, and take a look at some other guys that I could potentially get. I need some running backs here. I need at least 2 more I could go running back, wide receiver, but I'm afraid if I do take this wide receiver that I'm going to completely miss out on these running backs. So what we're going to do is we're going to take McLaughlin. And this Tyrone Tracy kid, this is maybe a good pick. I'm not really, again, running backs, when you get to this stage, shoot your shot because there's really nobody left. Well, I did not take another running back. I did go with my guy, Jalen McMillan. I think he's going to do really well on this Buccaneers team. They pass a lot. And who knows with Chris Godwin, Mike Evans getting a little bit older. I know Mike Evans is, he just signed a deal. But I think McMillan maybe down the line, if injuries were to take place, I'm not looking for McMillan to start for me right off the bat. I'm maybe looking more toward the end of the year. If Godwin or Evans does go down, McMillan is going to step in and take over the wide receiver position. So we went with Jaleel McLaughlin and Jalen McMillan. After McMillan went Conklin, Okonkwo, Hunter Henry. Here we're going to start to see some tight ends. Now, tight ends after this, it's over. There's no Mike Gesicki is the next available tight end, so you probably will not see a tight end. Dawson Knox is still up there, and I don't really know if I would take that. Darren Waller, I don't think anybody's going to take him. You got Michael Mayer from the Raiders. They just took, obviously, Brock Bowers, but Mayer was an early pick for them last year, so maybe they do 2 tight end sets. Who knows? But I'm completely off tight end as of now. I got 3 of them. I got 3 quarterbacks as well, so I'm completely out on the quarterback and the tight end position. I'm now looking for the running backs and wide receivers. Oh, that was a good pick there. I like this, Luke McCaffrey. Here we go, J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix. Now we're starting to see some rookies come in that maybe not off the bat. They're not going to be in your starting lineup probably week 1, but maybe later in the year they do take over or they start to get a lot more targets. And for running back, yeah, man, it's a tough situation here. You got guys like Alexander Madison, who's still there, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, D'Onta Foreman for Cleveland. Again, I have Nick Chubb, so I don't really know if I want to take Foreman. I would have liked to have gotten Ford. That Chicago backfield, you got Johnson still up there. Man, I don't know about that. I don't think I want a piece of him. I'm hoping this Tyrone Tracy kid is going to be there from the Giants, but he is next. He is the next running. Somebody's going to see him. Somebody's going to take him. I don't think I have a shot at him at all. Now, I could completely bow out of the running backs and just straight smash on the wide receivers because there are still a lot of wide receivers. Not good ones, but there are still big name guys that you can potentially probably get. You know, you got Rashad Bateman, Zay Jones, Tyler Boyd. I think Tyler Boyd is a sneaky pick here. You got Odell Beckham, who's now in Miami. Again, I think that's just you're more attracted to the name more than you are to potential here. So I don't think I would be in on him at all. And as we look at this draft after McCarthy and Nix, we see Dameon Pierce, which is good. I know they got Joe Mixon, but Pierce maybe can get some goal line work. Maybe he gets 2 carries for 2 yards and 2 touchdowns. You never know. Then we do see Dawson Knox go, Mike Gesicki. Now there's really no tight ends. I see somebody now take a tight end from the Panthers. I don't even know who this guy is. We do see Tyler Boyd go. That kind of sucks. I was looking at him, especially now. Let's see, we are up here in a couple of picks, so we should start queuing some guys up just to be sure. I see Michael Thomas still here. I don't know if I really want to waste a pick on him. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Oh, Tyrone Tracy went right before me. Oh, we are totally screwed at the running back position now. Oh man, that's a killer right there. He's a guy that I definitely wanted to get. We got Brevin Jordan who went right before me, tight end. Good pick there. Man, that really, really stinks. I was hoping that we were going to be able to get him. All right. Well, there's a couple of running backs here. I see D'Onta Foreman and Alexander Mattison that are guys that I would probably like to get. I could just straight cash in on both of those guys. I probably lean a little toward Mattison. I'm going to take Mattison before my time runs out. Again, 30 seconds when it gets to this later rounds, not looking good. So running backs are pretty straight. I got 6 of them. Now I'm looking for wide receivers. When you're looking at it, not looking too good. I would like to take Michael Thomas here. I think somebody's going to sign him. Not saying he's going to have a great year, but I'm going to take my shot at Michael Thomas. Especially later here in these later rounds, you could take a shot. I don't really like that pick. But again, he could sign with Buffalo. He could even maybe sign with Dallas. So again, I have the Dallas stack. So maybe if he does sign with them, he does good. And I'm not looking for wide receiver 1 production from this guy. I'm looking at maybe the flex spot for Michael Thomas. Maybe he has 1 or 2, maybe 3 weeks where he does really break out. But he's fallen off a ton. Obviously with injuries, he was okay last year. Then he got hurt again. And after Michael Thomas, we see Jalen Tolbert, D'Onta Foreman. And I was looking at Foreman again, but I have Nick Chubb. I don't want to get Foreman and Chubb because when Chubb does come back, he's going to be the guy. And who knows even if Chubb comes back, which it is a risky pick there. Pick 12, I could have drafted guys, I could have drafted more wide receivers, but we have one more pick here, and it's the pick of the litter here. This is where you're just hoping that one of these guys comes through. Looking at wide receivers, I'd like to maybe get a rookie who has some potential here. Again, there's really not a lot left. I'm looking at this guy from the Dolphins, Malik Washington. That offense, very, very, very powerful. They're going to score some points. And if anything does happen to Waddle, if anything does happen to Tyreek Hill, and I have Waddle, so getting a Malik Washington way later here, that's probably what I'm looking at. And he's way down the list here. I'm not saying, you got guys like Darius Slayton, Chase Claypool, Greg Dortch, Kendrick Bourne, Elijah Moore, Hunter Renfrow, which I don't even think he's on a team, Josh Reynolds. You got Brendan Rice from the Chargers, Noah Brown. Noah Brown could be a sneaky pick too. If anything were to happen with those Texans wide receivers, Brown steps in, and we saw how he did last year. He did pretty good. But again, when you're in these later rounds for best ball, you're not looking for obviously starters. You're looking for the potential for anything to happen to a player injury wise. That's why I have Malik Washington queued up. Hopefully, nobody takes this guy. I don't want to, I never like to do that. I never like to have one guy. I like to have several guys queued up, but he's pretty much the only guy. The only guy that I probably also look at as well as Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We got some running backs here who, there's not a lot. There's not a lot. You got Dalvin Cook still here. He's a free agent. Maybe he signed somewhere, but I'm not looking to draft Dalvin Cook. I want guys that, again, have potential to be great. And I think this Malik Washington kid, he's got a really good shot, especially with the Dolphins. And if Jalen Waddle doesn't have a good week and it's Malik Washington, at least I won't feel bad. I'll have Washington, and Waddle can take a seat for that week. And here we are in the final round, and we see Sam Darnold go, Sky Moore, Deuce Vaughn from Dallas, Chase Claypool, Tank Bigsby, so Aiden O'Connell. So now you're starting, you're starting to just draft guys who you think that may have an opportunity. And if there were an injury, they're the next guys up. And I like this Deuce Vaughn guy. If anything happens to Dowdle and Zeke, then Deuce Vaughn's the guy. So, but now you're looking at 2 injuries to pretty much, have this, have Deuce Vaughn pretty much, mean anything. Where I think that Malik Washington, I know you got Odell Beckham and Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. I'm just, hope it not for an injury, but he could have one good week, and that's fine with me. That is totally fine with me. Again, when you're in this draft or later, when you're in these later rounds for this draft, you're not looking again for, running back 1, running back 2, or wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 production. You're looking for somebody that could have maybe 1, 2, 3 good weeks. And again, I have Waddle. So if anything were to happen to Waddle, I pretty much have the next guy up in that explosive offense. But we're 4 picks away. We see, Zach Ertz goes, Darius Slayton, Kyle Juszczyk goes. I don't know if I would take that guy. That's not a good pick. I don't think so. Now we got guys pretty much auto drafting. The times are just running out. Nobody, I don't think cares at this point. Where me, I do. I am going to get my guys. Oh, Malik Washington goes already. Damn, 3 picks before me. Good job by that guy. That stinks a lot. So now we're back on trying to figure out who the hell to grab. We have 30 seconds. There is pretty much nobody at this point. Oh, man, that is really heartbreaking. I do like this Josh Reynolds guy. He does have, potential. Oh, man, that is just brutal. We were really hoping for that. We could get Clyde Edwards-Helaire here. Probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to take Helaire just in case. Man, that stinks. That's why I said you never want to have just one guy queued up because he's going to get taken. He is going to get taken. And that's exactly what happened. And we might be kicking ourselves later for that one because instead of drafting maybe Michael Thomas, maybe we should have drafted Malik Washington just in case. And then Michael Thomas maybe could have been there at the end of the draft. We'll never know now, but that really does stink. But it's round 20. No one cares. I mean, I care. But really good pick by that guy. I really like that pick. But yeah, that's going to be the draft. Let's see who we ended up with. All right, so quarterbacks. We have Dak Prescott, we got Joe Burrow, and we got Aaron Rodgers. Our running backs are Kieran Williams, James Cook, Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb, Jaleel McLaughlin, and Alexander Madison. Our wide receivers are CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Waddle, Keenan Allen, Tyler Lockett, Jalen Polk, Jalen McMillan, Michael Thomas. Also, we have for running backs, we have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Tight end, we have Jake Ferguson, we have Pat Freiermuth, and we have Ben Sinnott. So that's the team. Those are the 20 guys I'm going to be rolling with. This was a $3 draft. And I don't really like to do my big best balls. Like I'll do the $10, $20 ones, but I'll do that after preseason. Once preseason ends and the starters are, announced and, you have a really good idea of where players should be going, then okay. But at the same time, you may want to do drafts now because certain players' ADPs are way higher. So you want to cash in on maybe some of those, like Austin Eckler. Maybe Eckler is the starting running back, and we got him in round 8, and he turns out to be who he was. I'm not saying that he will be, but he has the potential to do that. And if the preseason goes and people start to see that, then his ADP is going to start to rise a lot. Same thing with a lot of the guys that I drafted, like Jaleel McLaughlin. If he's named the starter, we got him in way later. So that's huge for our team. Michael Thomas, again, I'm a little concerned about that pick. Maybe I should have went Malik Washington there. I probably should have went Malik Washington. That was a little boo-boo I made, which forced us to take Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which, again, I don't see him having a great year as long as Pacheco is healthy. So we're looking for an injury there for him to take over, which is a possibility. Or he has 1 or 2 good weeks, and that's fine. Throw him in the flex. That's okay. What you're looking for here in these rounds, 16 through 20, are guys that maybe have just a couple of good weeks. And barring an injury, maybe they take over for the guy that got injured. All right, so that's going to do it for this best ball draft. When I come back, I'm going to close out the episode. Be right back. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate all the support. Thank you to Spotify and Spotify for Podcasters for letting your man come up and do his thing. Also, thank you to DraftKings for adding Best Ball. One of the best things they've done. I really appreciate it. If you haven't tried it yet, go out and give it a shot. And my advice for today, try Best Ball. It's fun. I'll catch you guys next time.